What's up, y'all? We back with another video. We're looking inside the Titanic sub disaster. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, man. We're trying to get in the partner program, so make sure you go check out the other videos, like and subscribe. But we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. Just a little bit more information about what may have happened, and a little bit of the backstory before this tragedy happened. But make sure you, once again, you guys hit the subscribe button. Let's go.
Catastrophic implosion. The unthinkable became all too real this past week as we learned of the fate of undersea explorer Stockton Rush's Titan submersible on its way to the Atlantic grave of the Titanic. The questions, the second-guessing, David Pogue tells us, are likely to continue for a long time to come.
Last summer, a company called Oceangate invited Sunday Morning to join an expedition to the Titanic. At the time, I was thrilled.
Next time I come out of this doorway, I'll either be a changed man forever or cursing the bad weather.
As the whole world knows now, Oceangate's business was taking adventure seekers on these Titanic.
Whoa, let's go back real quick.
Knows now, Oceangate's business was taking adventure seekers.
Look how small that cabin is. You got, they say 5 people can fit in there, but like, more 3 would be max. You know what I'm saying? Because first of all, look how small that space is. You got to be in there for 2 hours down, 2.5 hours down, and 2.5 hours back up, man. That's a long time, man. That's 5 hours worth of sitting in a tube just to see the Titanic. I understand these people are enthusiasts and really love the Titanic, but you know, for $250,000, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more space than that.
On these Titanic.
And it got like a toilet in it that doesn't flush, so.
Dives.
Crazy.
Well, we're sitting on the Titanic.
Yeah.
We're on the Titanic.
For $250,000 a ticket.
Wow.
On a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible called the Titan.
Carbon fiber is a great material. It's better than titanium. It's better than a lot of other materials.
This is Stockton Rush, the CEO of Oceangate and the designer of the sub. Last Sunday, as he was piloting the sub to the Titanic, it imploded, killing him and his 4 passengers.
We spent 9 days at sea with Rush last summer, and in wake of the tragic news, we thought you might like to see more of what we saw and hear more of what Stockton Rush said.
Oh my God, this is what
This game.
Yeah, like I was saying, man, it's a toilet in there and it doesn't flush, so you can only imagine what could happen if you eat some chili dogs or something.
Titan wasn't like any previous deep-sea submersible. There was no dashboard, just a touchscreen computer and a single power button.
We only have one button, that's it.
Wait a minute, I've seen submersibles, and they are banks of controls, like cockpit after cockpit.
Exactly. And this is to other submersibles what the iPhone was to the BlackBerry.
But many of its components seemed surprisingly cheap. For views outside the sub, he had installed store-bought security cameras. As for the ceiling lights,
I got these from Camper World.
And then there was the steering unit.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! So, it seems like a lot of the way you made this is by taking off-the-shelf parts and sort of MacGyvering them together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Does that not raise anybody's eyebrows in the industry?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely an outlier. There were a lot of rules out there that didn't make engineering sense to me.
Everyone I know keeps asking me the same question. Why would you get on that dangerous sub? Well, first of all, Stockton Rush had the credentials.
He majored in aerospace engineering at Princeton. He designed and flew his own airplanes. He designed previous submersibles. Second, he was emphatic that the important parts of the Titan were rock solid, like the carbon fiber body for which NASA served as a consultant.
There's certain things that you want to be buttoned down, and that's the pressure vessel. Once the pressure vessel is, you're certain it's not going to collapse on everybody, everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
It's so sad.
Third, I was convinced by an expert, P.H. Nargelet, the veteran deep-sea explorer who also perished in the Titan. Over the years, he'd been to the Titanic more than just about anyone.
How many times have you been?
With the last dive 37 times.
You've been to the Titanic 37 times?
Yes. I was in charge of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subs.
How different is the Titan from those other subs?
Completely different. Most of them, you have a sphere.
Was there never a point when you wondered about the safety of the sub at that depth?
No. 2 or 3 years ago, I had a phone call with Stockton, and he explained to me that he was doing a lot of tests. He showed me the ways they were building the stuff. I said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem to dive in the sub.
Oh,
I was
God.
also impressed by the sub's.
That's so sad. You guys can catch it. That's one of the guys that died in the implosion in the Titan submarine. So it's like he just like let that dude tell him it was safe, and then he took a chance, and it just didn't work out.
7 redundant systems for returning to the surface.
These are roll weights. We can actually roll this up and those come off. That gains us some buoyancy to come back to the surface. Okay. These triple weights, we call them, are hydraulically driven.
Expedition manager Kyle Bingham.
Underneath this tray hang these bags. We're around 35 pounds. And those hang down there. Typical dive will have 8 of them. We can also use our thrusters. We have enough power to thrust back up. And then under this last fairing here, we have our variable ballast tank or soft ballast. It's an air bladder that we use a big 10,000 PSI air tank that's under the tail to fill that up, fill it with air, and then it helps bring us to the surface.
There were even sandbags that detach automatically after about 16 hours, even if everyone inside had passed out. Their connectors would dissolve in seawater.
So you have a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup.
Correct.
All stations are reporting the dive to go. Please stand by.
Finally, the crew seemed to foster a culture of safety. There were checklists, inspections before and after every dive, and a 3 strikes rule. If 3 things seemed out of the ordinary, no matter how minor, they'd cancel the dive. I learned that the hard way on our own dive.
We're in the water, we're floating. Woo!
At this point, divers are supposed to detach the sub from its launch platform.
So apparently those floats there came off the platform, and that wasn't supposed to happen.
So we're scrubbing?
Yeah, I think that's the consensus up here.
Copy that. I never did see the Titanic, and I wasn't unusual. In OceanGate's first 2 summers of Titanic operations, it spent a total of 50 days floating above the shipwreck site. But because of waves, bad weather, and malfunctions, the Titan actually made it to the Titanic only 12 times. But through it all, Stockton Rush defended his unconventional approach.
I mean, anything when you're trying something outside the box, people inside the box think you're nuts. Same thing when Elon Musk was doing SpaceX. Inside the box, everything's scary.
But as early as 2018, there was concern about the Titan's design. A former employee says that when he raised safety concerns, Rush fired him. That same year, a group of submersible engineers urged Rush to seek certification of the Titan by a safety agency. Rush declined, saying that regulation would stifle innovation.
At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. Yeah. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
So, Captain McLaren,
that is insane.
Have you spent much time?
That's crazy. He said that. And
David, my total time under the water, divorced from the outside atmosphere, is a little over 5 3/4 years. No kidding. Fact.
Retired U.S. Navy submarine captain Alfred McLaren is not impressed by OceanGate's innovations.
I mean, would you fly in an airplane that somebody excitedly tell you, well, it's going to be a lot cheaper because we found a new way of attaching the wings? Yeah, right.
He theorizes that the Titan failed not because it was made of carbon fiber, but because it was made of 3 dissimilar materials: carbon fiber, titanium, and plexiglass for the porthole.
When you have different materials, different molecular structure, they have different coefficients of expansion and compression, and then you make repeated cycles in depth. Of course you're going to work that seal loose. And that's why submarines don't run around with any portholes at all, come to think of it. It's a weak point.
I think there's a great, almost surreal irony here, which is Titanic sank because the captain took it full steam into an ice field at night on a moonless night with very poor visibility, after he had been repeatedly warned by telegram, by Marconigram.
In an interview with Anderson Cooper, filmmaker and veteran Titanic diver James Cameron pointed out a sad parallel between Stockton Rush and the captain of the Titanic.
The arrogance and the hubris that sent that ship to its doom is exactly the same thing that sent those people in that sub to their fate.
The world mourns the loss of Stockton Rush, P.H. Nargeolet, and their 3 passengers, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his son Suleiman.
Already there's talk of restrictions and regulations and lawsuits. Will the OceanGate disaster mean fewer people going adventuring? Well, every year people do die skydiving and scuba diving and climbing Mount Everest. Tragic every time, and yet people still keep coming. Some people just have that itch. For them, danger is the point. The risk of dying gives meaning to living. I think Stockton Rush was among them.
I wanted to be sort of the Captain Kirk. I didn't want to be the passenger in the back. And I realized that the ocean is the universe. That's where life is.
Super crazy situation, man. Send my condolences once again to all the passengers on the ship and everybody who lost their lives and their families. But he has a good point. No matter what you do, you get out the car, you get out of bed in the morning, get in the car, you have a chance for the same thing or something similar to happen. You can lose your life. But that's what comes with innovation and technology. Some things may fail. But you already know what it is, man. It's Swisher ENT. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out. Peace.